Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. On this Wisdom Wednesday, we'll be discussing the proverb, "It is not the knowing that is difficult, but the doing." So when it comes to knowing what to do, or what we would call the first step in the Wisdomites framework, that is your knowledge. Knowledge is our ability to go on Google and Google a question and an answer pops up. And we immediately have hundreds, if not thousands of articles that will tell us exactly how to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So that's the knowledge. That's always the easiest step. It's the first step. We do not lack information. We actually get information overload if we had to put it in any way. There is so much information out there that it becomes very difficult for us to determine which one is going to benefit us, which one is just full of hot air. But knowledge is going to be the first step. We then talk about the second step of the Wisdomites framework, which is understanding. Understanding is where you're saying, okay, I know what I need to do. Now I know why I need to do it. You've probably heard lots of different examples, but we have to be motivated. We have to have a reason stronger than like today, because today is going to be the instant gratification where it's like, okay, I know that this will be fun for me today. I may regret it tomorrow, right? Talking about eating like Snickers, which is like my favorite chocolate. If I'm eating Snickers, I feel really good today in the moment, but I may not feel great tomorrow or long term, because I know that sugar is not like all that great for me. But if I understand some of the impact, and that's why a lot of the times people end up having to be like diagnosed with cancer or some sort of traumatic event happens. Maybe they have a kid or something, to where now they have this understanding and this why of, okay, I'm motivated by more than this instant gratification. I want to live. I want to live for my kids. I want to live a healthier life so that I don't, die early or have some sort of suffering. So the second level is always understanding. We all know what we should do with our money. We generally know that we should invest it and our money should grow, that we should live within or underneath our means, and that we shouldn't definitely live above it. We all understand that I should, make sure that I am investing in my retirement or my kids' college or paying off different bills. All these things we generally understand at a high level. There's lots of information out there, from podcasts to videos to articles, that shares all of these strategies and thoughts on how we can accomplish these goals. So when you go from the knowledge to the understanding, then you move into the wisdom. The wisdom is the doing, and that's where most people fall off. So when you get to the step 3 of the wisdom, that is, what systems can I put in place to make sure that when I take action, it's as easy as it can be for me, as smooth of a transition as possible, where I don't get to take like a step back, but instead I'm always being able to push myself forward, because forward is the easiest and, dare I say, the only path available to me. When you set your life up in that way, then you're able to be like, okay, this makes more sense and I'm going to be able to accomplish it because of the systems I put in place. Now, these systems could be things as simple as the money comes out of my check without me seeing it and it goes into an investment account. Or it could be as easy as I, freeze my cards in a block of ice so I don't get to use them unless I thaw the block of ice, where you just make things difficult for you to do what you don't want to do, and you make things simple to do what you know you should do. Then the second part is, okay, well, I got the systems. I know how to make myself do something. What is the overall strategy that I'm going to put in place? That's a huge part of the doing. A lot of the time we have the knowledge. We know that, right? We need to, like, you guys know I'm big on like gardening. So I know I need to plant the seed in the ground, put some dirt on it and water it. And then it should grow into a tree at some point and give me fruit. But we don't always know that it needs a certain amount of sunlight and it needs a certain amount of depth when you water it, a certain number of days that you should water it. And we also don't know about like the zones. Where is it even going to survive a winter in this particular climate zone? All these things become a part of the doing process that a lot of us overlook. That we just know that, okay, they were able to plant the seed and they were able to grow it, but we didn't take into consideration, their soil, their location and their climate. We're just like, okay, that's what I saw them do, and I'm going to do the same thing. We have the knowledge, but we don't quite have that wisdom of understanding those little intricacies. We also don't know when the right time is to trim a tree. Right? You don't want to trim it when it's about to give you fruit, because it puts it in like shock, and it's unlikely that it's going to give you fruit that year. We'll say it's less likely. But we do need to trim it. We don't know which branches to trim, like the ones that grow like horizontally out, because it'll snap easier. All these things will be building our wisdom in the process The same is true when it comes to your finances with your money. Yeah, you may understand that you should live on like 70% of your income and that you should be able to invest like 20% and then you give to like charities, the other 10%, something of that nature. Maybe you invest like 30% and then you do like something else on the where you volunteer your time, but it's not as much about the money that you volunteer to causes you believe in. All of these are fine. But we all need to keep in mind that if I'm going to be investing 30% of my income, I need to make sure when that money is invested that I get a return on my money. I definitely don't want to lose money, and I definitely don't want my money to grow at like 1% or like 0% because I have to, at a minimum, keep up with inflation. So where do I put the money? How do I choose the stocks? Am I going to be actively invested? Am I going to be passively invested? Am I even going to invest in stocks? Maybe I'm going to start a business. And then how much time do I have to devote to the business before it turns a profit? Should I hire someone? Should I manage it myself and be an active operator? All these are questions that play into the decision of doing. So we all understand that, right? It's not the knowing that is difficult. We can find that information readily in seconds. It's always the doing. There's one example that always just kind of like puts a smile on my face, and I believe it was Picasso. And I believe he was sitting at like a restaurant and someone was like, hey, could you like paint something for me? You're amazing. And he's like, sure, no problem. And so he takes out this napkin and he like draws something. And I think he tells him it's like $10,000 or maybe $1,000. I'm not sure about the number, but you get where I'm going with this. And then the person was like, wait a minute, it took you like 5 seconds, like a minute to draw this. Why in the world would you charge me $1,000 or $10,000 to make this drawing that I just saw you do on the back of a napkin in like 10 seconds? And he said, yeah, I drew it in 10 seconds, but it's actually about 2 decades of craft building that helps me to draw it in 10 seconds. See, it's not the time that it takes us. It's the time that we invested in our ability to accomplish the task. The same is true when it comes to really anything. It's not that you can do the task in a minute, so people should value a minute of your time. It's that you have spent years and hours and books and money going to trainings and seminars and practices where you have built an understanding that is second to none. But in other aspects, you don't quite have all the understanding that you need, which is also fine. But we have to understand that whatever we're an expert in, as far as the doing and why the doing is simple now for us, is not that the doing is actually simple. The doing is very difficult. We spend a lot of time investing in our knowledge and our training and our understanding to get the results that we want. And the same is true across the board. I can write out and list all the books that I read on financial planning, and you can create your own financial plan. I can list all the books that about investing in rental properties, and you could, again, mimic exactly what I do. The question is, do you want to and do you have the time to? I enjoy this information. It's something that is fun to me. I share it with my kids and they look at me cross-eyed. I share it with my friends and family. Like whenever I meet people, I'm a teacher at heart. And so it's something that I enjoy doing a lot. And so it becomes easier for me to do, not that the knowledge, but I have been enacting the knowledge. I have been doing. I have learned with my own finances and I have built a plan and I have enacted plans and I have made changes and kept learning and growing over the years and the decades to where it becomes easier to do. Now, of course, you can do the exact same thing, and you should if it's something that's of interest to you. If it is something that you would like a little help on, then I invite you to check out my free retirement planning video training at obsidianwisdom.com/training. In it, I give you the entire Wisdometric framework that I use with my clients to help them eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy. Until next time, Wisdomites, remember wisdom is asking the right questions to allow yourself to get the right answers. Keep asking those questions and you will keep getting those answers. Continue blessings.